Today we are celebrating Father's Day. It's such an important day where we can take the opportunity to honour all of the fathers out there and just honour the very important role that they play in our society, in our communities, because that fatherhood is so important in the upbringing of every single child and in the strengthening of families. So we honour all fathers out there, and today we have three fathers with us who are at different stages in fatherhood to share some of their experiences and their wisdom. So we have with us Diego Estrada, Danilo Caiza, and Alvaro Vinasco. So to start off, maybe Diego, if you can share with us, what were the first thoughts that came to your mind when you held your first child? That moment in the hospital.
You just feel a massive sense of pride and gratitude, and you just see, you just feel the mercy and the compassion of God for allowing you to have descendants and to have like a small creature that you can see yourself in, yeah, it's just the most amazing feeling you can ever imagine. It's a joy that honestly surpasses any other joy or happiness that you could ever have before. It's the most beautiful moment.
Could you compare that feeling to anything else you've experienced in your life before that, or do you think it's unique? You've only felt it in that moment?
I honestly think it's very unique. It's something that you only experience when you have the first child. Even with the other kids, with the other boys, again, it's amazing, and you sort of relive that moment again. But with the first one, it's just something that is unforgettable, and it really marks you.
Amazing, thank you, Diego. Alvarito, and can you tell us, so you have 3 children, right? Nicole, how old is Nicole?
Nicole is going to be 19 this year, and Sarah is going to be 10. Isa is already 8.
Okay, so you have 3 and they're at different ages. So can you tell us, do you think that your relationship with your children has changed as they grow up, or do you think it's exactly the same from the moment they're born until they...
I believe every stage is different, but I believe the time they are growing, I believe the relationship become more stronger, and I believe become more deeper, especially because the conversation that I have now with Nicole is quite different than the conversation I have with Sarah and the conversation I have with Isa. And it's also the time we spare together. I think it's more valuable right now because as you see, your kids are growing. They have different type of needs, yeah, and emotional, and it's also the time because Nikki now is in the university. So my question to her is like, how's everything? Who's your friends? What the things you find difficult? And the conversation I have with Sarah is, Daddy, I'm going to secondary school in next year. What do you think it's gonna be? So it's quite different conversation. And it's also, I have a boy. And the conversation I have with Isa is different than the conversation I have with the girls. Especially because boys are more tough. It's like they play rude, they quite... So I have to remind his position as a man. I say, you need to protect your sisters. Women, you shouldn't talk that way. So I believe the time they growing, I think the relationship become more stronger. And especially as a dad, I will give an advice. especially they have a quite tough time between the age of 12 to 16. They trying to get into they trying to shut down. But as a parents, the responsibility to don't let those walls coming up is our responsibility, it's not our kids. So we're trying to find out the way we communicate in that stage.
So communication is key, and learning how to adapt depending on what stage they're in. Thank you, Alvarito. Now, Danny, tell us, how many children do you have, and how have you found being at home with your children?
I have 3 boys. So Eden is 3, Noah is 2, and Jonah is 9 months. So yep, 3 babies under the age of 3. And you know, at the beginning, when all this whole change happened into working from home, working remotely, it was difficult. As you can understand, having kids running around everywhere all the time while you're in a meeting. I'm not sure whether you've seen that BBC video or the kids come running in. It was sort of like that, and it can be stressful. And it did take me time to adapt. So we're definitely getting better. It's still hard, but much better than where we started off.
Thank you, Danny. Now back to Diego. Before I give the next question, do you mind telling us how many kids you have and what ages they have?
So I've got 5 kids, all boys. The oldest one is 4. His name is Santiago. Followed by Stanley, he's 3. Followed by Samuel, who's 2. Followed by Stefan, who's 1. Followed by Johannes, who is just 2 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, Diego, so tell us, what was your relationship with your father like, and how did this influence in your role as a father of 5 boys?
Yeah, my dad, to me, he's the greatest dad in the world. To me, I wouldn't change anything on my dad. He's perfect to me, and I've always tried to just follow my dad's steps. To be honest, always be of good example, and something that I learned from my dad is that you need to love your children, and they need to respect you, and that's something that a lesson that I try to implement every day with my boys, showing them my love, so they can again respect me as well. I think that's the key to having a healthy relationship with your children. But yeah, the relationship with my dad is so key. Even now, I ask him for advice, and he's of great help. I just love my dad, and I wish my children will respect me and admire me the same way I respect and admire my dad. Yeah.
Amazing, thank you, Diego. How about you, Danny? Is it a similar experience, or has it been quite different for you?
Well, for me, it's a weird one because I wasn't born in the UK. I was born in Ecuador, and my parents divorced when I was around, don't know exactly, but I would say around 10. So that sort of affected my relationship with my dad, because I stopped seeing him around at home and stuff, and at that age it's difficult to understand. I can say I still love my dad to bits. I think I'm very, very similar to him in many ways. But what I have learned from my relationship with my dad is to be able to take the mistakes that he did and not judge, but much rather learn. Because many times us as young adults, or even if you're a youth or a teen, we use the excuse, oh, my dad is this way, so I'm going to be like that. Whereas my relationship with my dad is is a case where, you know what, son, I made these mistakes, but it's not for you to make the same mistake. So it has allowed me to just learn from him and grow from him as a person. And I look up to my dad so much. He is a great man. Maybe he isn't in church in Christ. He's not a Christ follower. But there's many traits as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a granddad now as well, that I would love to grow up and be one day as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Danny. Great. Alvarito, and could you maybe share some words of advice for men who are about to become first-time fathers? What advice would you give to these men? Alvarito? Oh, we've lost him. That's fine. How about you, Diego? Why don't you answer that question? What advice would you give to these men?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again?
What advice would you give to men who are out there watching us today and they're about to become first-time fathers?
Advice, it would be for them to just enjoy the moment and trust in God as well, because sometimes you put a lot of pressure on yourself to maybe to be a provider and to be a protector, and I just feel that young fathers have a lot of weight on their shoulders, and sometimes you it's good to plan, but sometimes you may put too much pressure on yourself and get stressed out. So I learned that God is always in control, and he will never, as a word says, he will never leave you nor forsake you. And it's amazing how he's got everything planned out, and if we just trust in him and enjoy the moment, the provision will come, and everything will be put in place for you to be able to look after that child. I've just had so many experiences with my children in times when, for example, we didn't know who was going to look after the other children while my wife was pregnant or about to give birth, and you plan ahead a lot, and then you realize on the moment that none of the things that you planned actually turn out as you wanted. And then you thank God that they didn't, because God always has a better plan and a better understanding of what we really need. So just trust in God and know that He's in control.
That's amazing. Thank you, Diego, because it's not easy. Fathers, like mothers, I think it's a lot of sacrifice. That's how I would define fatherhood: sacrifice, courage, perseverance. It's a commitment from beginning until either you die or hopefully you die before your kids. So till the end. So it's a lot. So I love what you said, which is, if you do it with God, it's so much better. It's like every commitment in life, it's not an easy one, but with God, He gives us the strength and the wisdom. So thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alvarito, are you with us? Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, could we take this moment to perhaps give some advice to children who are watching us, and maybe those children who don't have a father at home?
Okay. One advice that I can give to them is, I believe so that every single human being in the earth, they have a heavenly Father. Because when I discover the gospel, one thing I discover is that I have a heavenly dad, that I can talk to him. He loves me not because what I do, is for who I am. And then he gave the opportunity for me to have a dad and a mom at home that always be with them. But if they don't, they shouldn't blame the dad, because they should give thanks to God, because God used that man. But never is that, maybe that person is not like a personal and a tangible dad at home. But I think that we need to realize that we have a heavenly dad. And I believe so that once, if they are listening this message, it's because they have a special seed in their heart. And believe me that there is God is always being with us. And he says something in Psalms 139. He says something that God created us. He took time in our mother's womb to put everything in place. And I believe so we are a wonderful creation, and we have a bright future. And I believe so that it's so important to, as a young man and a young girl, to recognize that we were creation of God, and He's our daddy. And I believe so that this is the time for this generation to recognize God as a dad.
That's lovely. Thank you, Alvarito.
That's the advice I can give to them.
No, it's wonderful. Very beautiful. Thank you. And now to finish off, thank you all of you for joining us today. And Danny, maybe if you can just give some words to all of those young fathers out there, just some advice or words of encouragement.
Guys, just keep going. It is difficult. It can be tough, but it's also beautiful at the same time. So that's why it's very, very difficult to explain what fatherhood is, because it's difficult but beautiful at the same time. If you're expecting your first baby, just enjoy the ride. It is full of emotions, up and down. Like Diego said, plans never go as expected. So just YOLO. And if you have a baby already, just embrace it, enjoy it. Do not let for time to just go by. You need to enjoy every season because it's very easy for us as humans that we have a baby. You say, oh, I can't wait until he's 5, and then you've missed 5 years of his life. Then he gets 5. Oh, I can't wait until he goes to school. So it's just to enjoy each season as it comes, and that's something that I've really learned from Alvarito. We always have these conversations, and if you're a dad listening to this, connect with other dads, because they're going through the same struggles, they're going through the same difficulties, and you can always just open up and speak. I think as men, we find it difficult to speak and just be real and open. And I think it's important that if you're struggling, just approach someone, approach a dad, approach Alvarito, Diego, or anyone else, your leader, and just have a conversation, because just the fact that we're speaking can be a massive help to our well-being.
Great, thank you, Danny. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day, and everyone, we wish you a happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Father's Day, guys.